mean, you could be the greatest attorney in the world, but if nobody knows who you are, it doesn't matter. You can be the greatest attorney in the world, and if you're not communicating with your clients in the manner that this day and age dictates, you're not going to be as successful as you want to be. And so all of those things are so tied in to legal technology. Again, I would not be in the position that I am at this point in time, no question about it, had we not gone and adopted it.
Hey everyone, welcome back to Answering Legal's Everything Except the Law podcast. I am your host, Nick Werker. If this is your first time tuning in, this is the podcast where we share expert advice on all the parts of running a law firm that attorneys weren't exactly trained for back in law school. Now on this podcast, we've had a lot of interesting legal tech conversations. We've heard the law firm consultant's point of view. We've heard thoughts from the CEOs of top legal software companies. So today we wanted to get a little bit of a different perspective as we talk with a currently practicing lawyer about how using legal tech has impacted his day-to-day working life. And the lawyer with me today is Benjamin Luftman, a founding partner of the firm Luffman, Heck and Associates. Benjamin, thank you for making the time for us.
Thanks so much for having me, Nick. Happy to be here.
I won't call you Benjamin anymore. I just wanted to introduce you professionally. I'm sure you like to go by Ben.
Ben goes unless I'm on the record in court or my mother is not happy with me. That's about it.
Got it. Yeah. My mother won't stop calling me Nicholas. And so like my wife has now taken to it. And for whatever reason, it's sort of like you. Like if I hear my full name spoken, I assume I'm in a little bit of trouble.
That's right.
So I don't necessarily love when my wife calls me Nicholas because it could mean one of two things. So besides that, can you tell me a little bit about your background in law and you know,
sure.
give the readers an idea?
So grew up in Columbus, Ohio, and ultimately I went to the Ohio State University for undergrad. Thereafter ended up going to Capital University, which is a local law school here in Columbus. And interestingly, thought that I was going to do in-house counsel work. That's where I thought that my life was going to take me, but sometimes life takes you down different paths. And so through a series of events, I ended up finding myself at the Franklin County Public Defender's Office. So criminal and traffic law. I was in court every day and started looking around. So I'm 24 years old at this point in time. And I thought to myself, I can do this just as well as these people that I'm seeing practicing every day, if not better from what I've learned. And in my 24-year-old naivete, I decided that I was going to go and start a law firm and never have to go and submit a resume again in my life. So for my second and third year of law school, I ended up going and sort of working out the details on how to go and do that, and asked two of my friends who are in law school with me to go and sort of join me on this adventure. They agreed to go and do that. And this was in 2003. So we graduated from law school in 2003, all took the bar, passed the bar. And in December of 2003, started the law firm. And going on 18 years later, here we are. It's been an adventure. One of the original partners left after a couple years. But Jeremy Heck and I have Luffman, Heck and Associates, again, the name that you referenced earlier. And it's been, it's been my life's work, and it's been an incredible adventure. Sort of what obviously led us to being here and talking with you is, when I started out, quite frankly, and you're probably a bit younger than me, but the Yellow Pages was still in vogue at that point in time. So people would literally go to the Yellow Pages and go and try to pick out an attorney that way. So this was long before the internet and, what do you do to go and find an attorney now? I mean, there is no Yellow Pages. So it's definitely been interesting sort of adapting to the technological changes. And I have to admit to you, Nick, I'm not the most savvy when it comes to the technology, but certainly, and unfortunately, I've had good people around me to go and teach me and explain to me and take me through how it could make our practice better. And so we were early adoptees of being online with respect to the marketing, and fairly early adoptees of using legal technology to go and help our firm.
You know, I will never fault somebody for saying I'm not good with technology, because there's things that come out that I'm not good with either. It really boils down a lot to your willingness to embrace change. So it's not necessarily like technology, it's emerging trends and what are you willing to do to stay current with, being competitive in your market. So even when you're talking about the yellow pages, right? At some point when the yellow pages was a thing, there was somebody whose genius idea it was to change their law firm name to like AAA Law, right?
Mm-hmm.
I've actually heard tell of a guy who changed his name legally to like AAAAA Allen,
Right.
or something like that, so that he could be first in the yellow pages. But when the yellow pages came out, right, maybe there were a bunch of lawyers who were like, oh, I don't have to be in the yellow pages. My reputation and my business cards speak for themselves. So there's always like a hesitancy to adopt new things. So I just laugh. Like maybe somebody was, against the yellow pages when it came out.
So I know this is a technology show, but I just want to share with you a very quick yellow pages story, if I may.
Yeah,
in
sure.
terms of adopting and trying to go and be ahead. So here in Ohio, you can't do that with the name, right? But the yellow pages, they came out with, basically it was a tab. So whatever sector you're in, legal, what business, accounting, you could buy a tab that will pull out, and it was this glossy tab that you were literally the first. So we come out and we are determined to go and make our mark, whatever it took, right? And so we agreed to go and get this tab, which is very expensive on a monthly basis, particularly for some attorneys who are just starting a law firm and have no real leg to stand on. But so we go and do that. What they didn't tell us, we thought the tab was just pulled out. I mean, it would be tabs out, Luffman or Forney Luffman Heck, and go from there. No. It was folded in. So you actually had to physically pull it out to go and see it, which changed things for us tremendously. Because then unless they go and do that, then it doesn't really matter. So literally right off the bat, we were scrambling every month to go and pay for that big tab. And it almost sunk us right off the bat.
When you said the tab, I was like, oh, that's genius. It's one of those, I forget what you call them, from Staples, where you could, when you used to study and you put the little thing and so you could pull the tab. That's what I was picturing in my head. But yeah, it's sort of like an insert. Actually, my wife works in media and she works for a very big company. I won't name them. Sure. They do like retail shipments, sort of like Amazon. You ever get the package in the mail and it's got like a card in there for like a wine voucher? Yep. I'm thinking of that's sort of like what that is, an insert. But that's cool. It's probably earlier when they first. I like the origin story of things. I'll get on a tangent.
I mean, that's the best thing. Like, the try and fail. So many stories, and then again, we've been, at the end of the day, pretty successful. I mean, my firm, and we'll get into this with the technology thing, in terms of our volume for criminal defense and traffic, is probably one of the busiest firms in the entire state of Ohio at this point in time. But getting there is definitely been an adventure, but I wouldn't change it for anything.
So let's talk about this, right? You have a very open-minded approach to legal technology.
Absolutely.
Can you tell me sort of like, because like I said, I like the origin story. Where did you start as far as it concerns legal technology? How has it evolved over the years? And then where are you now? What are you using now?
Sure. So with respect to the beginnings, when we started, they had like the little pink notes where you'd go and write like the phone messages and everything like that. So we started there and having an actual Rolodex of business cards. So that's where it started. In terms of the technology thing, why is it important? As our business grew, and again, the volume that we have, put it this way, and I think that the number one most important thing that we've integrated is customer relations management software. And that's been a huge boon for us, because especially they have apps that are associated with it that can do things, and this is the biggest one, I would say, sort of with auto-populating. And so when we go and put all of our clients' information into our system, we have filings for every type of case. So we do DUI cases, we do criminal cases, we do traffic cases, and people literally hire my firm all over the state of Ohio to go and deal with the more serious stuff. And there's 88 different counties across Ohio and hundreds of courts. Now, if you think about it from a time perspective, in order to just go and type up a discovery demand, if you want to go and get the reports and DVD, you have to take the time to go and do that. And there's a notice of appearance of counsel. And then maybe you appeal a license suspension on a DUI case. 5, 6, 7 different things that you have. And from a time perspective, now I'm not doing that. And obviously we have paralegals that go and do that. But just think about the time if you're dealing with multiple cases every day just on one individual case. So the customer relations management software that we have and the apps that are associated with it, once it goes in and you say, okay, what court is it in? We have a whole packet for every type of filing that we have. It's all auto-populated. So you can literally do it in 25 seconds, 30 seconds, a minute, and it's done. You print it out, it has the fax cover with whoever it needs to be faxed with and all the information, and it's basically automated it. And that's huge, because at the end of the day, especially for my firm, and that we're a high volume firm, efficiency is the most important thing. I mean, there's literally just only so much time in a day. And so by going and adding those things, and I again, I think it's good when you know your strengths, know your weaknesses. And I didn't understand how important this was or how impactful it would be with respect to my business, but we had technology people around us, people that have been with us that I trusted, that said, look, you guys, really need to look into going and doing this. And this is how it's going to go and benefit you. And so when you go and shrink down even just that to 30 seconds or a minute, well, then the paralegals aren't stuck going and doing that. They can spend more time on the phones as the frontline people for our clients that are going and calling in. They have more time to go and get out the letters and everything to everything else, which is also auto-populated, closing letters, case letters for court date, pre-trials, all of that is systematic. And so we have systems in place literally for all of it. And the time savings is tremendous. And so, what do people care about most when they go and deal with this type of stuff, or really anything? I mean, they want to get results and they want to get good results, and we want to do the very best that we can for them. But don't kid yourself, the customer service aspect of it is huge. And quite frankly, and conversely, when you look at attorneys who go and have complaints or bad stuff on Google or wherever they're going and writing these things, the customer service portion of it is a lot of times, well, they didn't communicate with me. I mean, I hear this from other people all the time. And so, for us, we do the very best that we can. And, it's never perfect, but in terms of incorporating the legal technology and particularly customer relations management software, apps that go along with it, I think it's all about efficiency, and that efficiency enables us to communicate more readily with our clients, which ultimately makes them happier.
And so this is why I'm already very impressed with you, because as somebody who doesn't necessarily, I'll keep this in the eye, right? I love the art of like developing websites and apps. I love learning about code. I love the architecture of it. I think it's like when I learn a new thing about how code works, I think it's so cool. Like I learned recently something about how like a train station would work hypothetically, where you would post the entry onto one class and then just love it, right? But I can't do it. I'm not good at it.
Right.
But that doesn't mean I'm not willing to adopt it in my business, right? So if somebody comes to me and they tell me they have this genius idea for how they're going to automate some system for me that's going to make my life, I don't necessarily need to know exactly how it works in order to understand that it can benefit me in spades. So I commend you for really taking that on, but also being true to like the practice of law, right? The thing that drives me the most crazy when I talk to lawyers is, so I started out in sales here.
Mhm.
And I've watched the legal profession go from what you're talking about, really, like the Rolodex, paper and pen, uh the big stack of hardware in your closet with the phone system, all of that stuff, right? And I just remember making phone calls and talking to lawyers and saying, like, you need somebody to answer your phone. If you're not answering the phone, you're going to miss out on that client. And I had no data to back this up because it was, it was like a brand new venture. And no, I'm not missing anything. I got my voicemail. I got this. I got that. And those are the same people who, if I looked up their like reputation on Google, they got all these complaints. They're like, he's a great lawyer. He got the job done eventually, but I had no idea what to expect from this guy. I would call and say, are we going to make it? Are we going to meet before my court date here? And he never got back to me. And the number one complaint that I always see about lawyers online is never like, oh, he's a crook, he stole my money. It's never, he was mean. It's nothing like that. It's he doesn't return my phone call and I never heard from him again. So the customer service aspect, maybe it used to not be this way, but in today's era is such an important part of obtaining clients and keeping them. And your reputation really matters now. So if say I were to go look for, I get in trouble in Columbus, right? I'm speeding, get a speeding ticket, and I'm Googling, I'm going to find a traffic attorney. If your profile says that you're communicative, profile reviews say that you're over communicative, you let me know, you included me in the process, you let me know what the next steps were going to be. If I got to pay you a little extra for that, I'm willing to, because
Sure.
I want to be brought along in the process as the consumer. So I commend you, but I also I think that this is a great conversation for other attorneys to look towards and say, well, this guy did it. You know what I mean? He was open-minded towards this legal technology. He adopted it, and this is how it's going for him. So if you're watching, pay attention, more attention. We're going to keep going. Ready? When it comes to managing your practice, are there any particular problems that you've been able to solve by adopting new legal technology? And I want to have an aside here. Is there anything that you're currently looking to solve that you don't know how to yet?
It's an interesting question. In terms of the problems that have come up with the legal technology that we've been able to go and solve, I would say that the number one thing again is how do we go and make our life easier, and how can we go and be more efficient and be better? So the whole purpose of going and doing this was to go and to solve that problem, because if we weren't able to solve that problem, quite frankly, there's no way that we would be able to go and have the caseload that we do. It would be just impossible, period. And that is a direct impact on our bottom line. And so with respect to going and doing that, I would say, and this is, again, me not knowing the mechanics of it, there are still things that, and listen, Nick, and I mean this, like, I want to be perfect, but it's not possible.
Mm-hmm.
And so, and things get missed. Sometimes the worst thing in the world, and the thing that we're still going to try and solve, quite frankly, if you're asking me about that, sometimes calendaring issues come up, and even just like strange stuff. So this is, again, technology, right? So we have Outlook, right? Our calendar. I'm sure most people are familiar with that. Some people have the Outlook, whatever. And it's synced up to our customer relations management software, right? So if you go and type it in there, it should go and then show up on your Outlook calendar. Sync, right? I guess that's what it is.
Mm-hmm.
And there are absolutely times where even where that does happen, and we do go and put it on there, for whatever reason, it doesn't sync. And then what do? As an attorney, you do what's on your calendar from day to day. And the paralegals are the ones that go and put it on the calendar, and they think that they've put it on the calendar, and then it's not on there. And then you miss something. And then the court's calling you, where are you? Or you miss something where you're supposed to have waived your client's appearance, and God forbid they could put a warrant out for their arrest. So there are real world consequences to these things. And it makes me sick to my stomach, quite frankly, because I mean, again, we try everything that we can. So if you're talking about one thing that we're still going and working on and absolutely trying to perfect, how can we go and put systems in place so it never, ever happens? That's the number one for me. Because again, there's nothing worse than that. There is no worse feeling than getting a call from a client, where are you, and not having it on your calendar, or getting a call from the court, or having to go and clean up a warrant. The worst.
So take this or leave it as it is, but and this entire business is run on Google Calendar, but we all use Calendly. You're absolutely on the right track with calendaring. You want it to go inside your CRM or your legal practice management software, whatever you want to call it, or whichever you use, really. But reliability is such a big thing. So for me, I feel comfortable endorsing Calendly. I know that one of the solutions we use for our customers is something called youcanbook.me. I have never heard of a problem with youcanbook.me, but I think that's more of something on my end where I'm able to book appointments for someone else.
Right.
So I don't know necessarily if I can recommend that, but you're absolutely right. And that, so even in the legal profession, the stakes are so much higher, right? So you really want to get it right 100% of the time. So I'm definitely going to send you this thing, and you
Please.
can get hooked
Yeah,
up on
no,
it.
I mean, again, that I'm not kidding. That is the absolute number one for us, period.
Yeah. So yeah, exactly. So the stakes for me are a lot lower, right? Like, what's the worst that's going to happen if I miss an appointment with an attorney who's looking to, I don't know, set up service with me, and they have a small law firm. The worst case scenario, like, no one's going to go to jail over it, but the mindset should not be any different, really. Like, even if your clients are not going to necessarily go to jail, you don't want to miss out on that, because you want to be 100% reliable for your clients. You never want to let any of them down. So I take that on myself too. Like, if that was happening to me, oh my God, I'd be the same. I'd be freaking out about that.
So that's the whole thing. I mean, at the end of the day, even if it's a paralegal who goes and doesn't do something, or something gets messed up, and again, it's really about accountability. And I guess everybody has to go and sort of manage their practice how they see fit. But I'm the one who goes and talks to these people and explains, again, and it's a lesson I learned a long time ago. And it makes sense in the respect that, as perfect as you want to be, that mistakes will happen. But as long as you're honest about it, you explain it to the client, and you let them know the solution that you're going and trying to find to figure it out and make it better for them, then at the end of the day, you can sleep well at night. And I mean, I've had conversations, obviously, look, this is a paralegal's job. It's not mine, but at the end of the day, it's my name and my firm, and the buck stops with me. And that's why I'm calling you and reaching out. But yeah, I mean, you want to try to be as perfect as you can.
We will be right back with the show after this short message.
My name is Brian Perskin. I'm the managing partner of Brian D. Perskin Associates PC. I started out with answering legal, and now my practice is growing tenfold. The biggest benefit to answering legal is my phones are answered 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, because the lifeblood of any law firm are new clients. Answering legal is an extension of my firm. I feel that every receptionist at Answering Legal works for me. It allows lawyers and paralegals to actually work without answering the phone. Anytime I leave this office, I know my business is still running. I would recommend it to any lawyer that wants to make their lives easier. You need Answering Legal.
I want to talk about, because we're talking about relationships with clients.
Yep.
So how has your practice used technology to improve relationships with clients? Wow, that was kind of a tongue twister.
So, I mean, I guess technology, it's a good question, because what falls under the technology umbrella? And I guess I would defer to you. So, when you were talking about clients and wanting to go and, there's definitely, I think, a more immediacy now than previous. And so when you were talking about the attorneys who didn't reach out, trying to get a client or something like that, look, when everybody's just going and researching and everybody looks great, when you go and do look on Google and everything, how do you distinguish one person from another? If you don't get to that call, they're just power dialing to the next person. So from the sales perspective, I mean, I try to be literally immediate or follow up literally within 5 to 10 minutes as soon as I go and get the message. So on that perspective, just understanding how important it is, oh my gosh, it's everything. Because literally, if you don't answer, they're calling somebody else, and that's money that's out of your pocket and in somebody else's. And quite frankly, again, we've got a big firm, a lot of stuff has to happen, and I'm pretty competitive. And I don't want that to happen. So, on me, whenever, and you have to be willing to take those calls whenever, quite frankly. And so anybody who knows me, my friends and family and everything, sometimes I'll be somewhere. If I see a call come in, I have to excuse myself and take it. And fortunately, the people that are close to me just understand what it takes to be me and be in this business and go and do what I do at the level I do it. So I'm very grateful for that. From just when you actually have a client in technology, for us, we were early adopters in the respect that most attorneys didn't go and give clients their cell phone numbers. And we've done that, and I've required that from the associate attorneys that work for me since the beginning, because I really do try to be accessible. And if you looked at our business cards, our cell phone numbers are actually on our business cards. So we really care about that. If you consider text messaging a part of technology, everybody goes and texts nowadays. And so in terms of being able to go and answer someone's questions or concerns, certainly you have to be an adoptee to that. The attorneys, including myself, are all in our 30s, 40s, so that's not an issue. But one of the things that I try to do to mitigate, and I tell clients, and it's from our representation email through the initial text message, I send them a text with all of mine and the other attorney. There are usually 2 attorneys that work on a case, me and another attorney. The other attorneys are in court day to day, but we communicate on the cases and strategy. So I'm able to go and talk to them. Also with our customer relations management software, all of the discovery and everything is in there, so I can go and pull anything. They can go and make notes on the case in real time, and they do every single day. So I know exactly what's going on with the case, as well as the paralegals. So they're real-time update, which is great. So if they have a question or concern and they can't get a hold of that attorney, they can call me or text me, and they do. And generally speaking, they're able to go and reach one of us in a fairly short period of time. And we always try to go and follow up same day. Used to be business standard was 48 hours. Then I think it sort of shrunk to 24 hours. And for us, again, just being mindful of the immediacy and sort of how things have changed and expectations have changed. Now it's same day.
I like that you're talking about immediacy. And I want to build on that, because when I I always use the example of last year, or I guess it's 2 years ago now. That's crazy. We lost a year. I went to go get my wisdom teeth taken out. I had put it off all throughout my my early 20s, and now I got to go get my wisdom teeth taken out. So I remember making a phone call to the original dentist or wherever I called, and they were asking me these questions, and they would put me on hold, and then I ended up on the phone with another person. They're like, "Oh, what are you looking to come in to do?" Well, I'm coming in to get my wisdom teeth out. Okay, please hold. I'll put you. Oh, what are you looking to do? I'm looking to come get my wisdom teeth taken. I had to tell like 3 people. So one of the things that I think people want is, yes, they want immediacy, right? I want somebody to answer the phone right away. Listen, I got these things in my mouth. I need them taken out. I'm in pain, man. Help me out here. I appreciate the immediacy, but continuity for me is so important. I don't want to have to repeat myself, and I want to feel like there's a competent organization that's ready and able to help me with my problem. So when you go and you take that phone call and you have your case case management software, right? And you put all the details of that phone call in there, and then you say delegate that to one of the associates at your firm, and you say, okay, great, Nick, he's my best associate, he's going to take care of you, he's going to go to traffic court with you, he's going to make sure we do blah X, Y, and Z, right?
Yep.
Then you put all of that information in your case management software. Then Nick, he goes in there, he reads all that stuff, he's fully briefed on everything he has to do. He calls the client, makes sure he follows up with them. Yep, we're going to do this. We're going to do this. I got you. Don't worry about it. And that client doesn't have to repeat himself again because you put all the pertinent information into your case management system, and he can just pick up where he left off. That is so satisfying to a customer. It's a relief. It gives you a sense of legitimacy and competency that really, I'm not going to say it doesn't have a dollar value, because it really does, right? If I'm going to pay you for a service, I expect a certain level of legitimacy.
Right.
So I like that you're incorporating all these things together. So I do want to ask you, because now I'm talking about the year that was lost, when the entire world and the legal world was forced into the new working conditions last year.
Yes.
Was there any point that you felt underprepared for it technologically, or were you able to just kind of switch over and keep doing things the way that you'd always been?
So I'll say this, and again, it's good to have good people around you. We made a decision fairly quickly to have everybody working remotely before it became a thing. And we have competent people in terms of getting all the people had the requisite computers, they had scanners, they had everything that they needed. We provided that for the attorneys and paralegals to make sure that they were able to go and fully function and do everything that they needed to do from home. The cameras, because a lot of the courts switched to the Zoom or whatever technology that they were using hearing. So we adopted to, I'm proud, I'm not going to take any credit for it, but I mean, as a firm, we adopted to it very quickly. We were able to get everybody out. We just had like one paralegal come in and basically switch off day to day to make sure that we were getting the mail, that the stuff got scanned in. So in terms of the processes that we needed to go and adopt to and change, March, April of last year, I think we did a really good job, quite frankly. And it's interesting if you go and spin it forward, because our productivity didn't really suffer. In Ohio in April, they were completely locked down, which is, I'm going to go and tell this story just real quick as a personal thing from a business owner. So again, very proud of what we've been able to go and do. My firm has as good a reputation as you could possibly have. Volume-wise, one of the biggest criminal defense firms in the entire state of Ohio. And we go, me and my business partner, a couple other people in March, and we go to a bar. We're, about to watch the Big Ten men's basketball tournament. Excited about that. Ohio State's playing well. It's been canceled. Okay, this is serious and not good. And so literally that Sunday, our governor was on and saying, everything's getting locked down. And I'm literally sitting there and I'm thinking to myself, oh my goodness, I've spent 17 years of my life building this thing to what it is. And I have no idea what's going to happen. I'm like, I'm going to get taken out by this. Like, I can't even. So it was it was an interesting time. And Jeremy and I, heck, my business partner, we've got 14 attorneys and 50 staff and multiple offices. And, there are people and families and just a lot of responsibilities. And, after I shed a tear or two and got over myself, I said, look, you got to get yourself together. We talked about it. And we're like, look, we don't want to go and lay anybody off. We don't want to furlough anybody. We're just going to take ourselves off the payroll and continue paying people for the 2 or 3 months this thing is going to last. And we'll see where it goes from there. So, and then, May, June, things sort of came back around, but the courts definitely were adopting and still did everything got kicked down the road from March to June, just about. And then some courts still are kicking it down the road. and a lot of them went to a virtual. So again, all the attorneys, all the staff had everything they needed at home that we provided. So we have an office manager and made sure that that got done. And we have, a technology company that services us. So it was all done very quickly. And quite frankly, because of how successful it's been and our productivity didn't go in lapse, one of the questions they say, well, do you think you need an office? For us, we do. I mean, we have clients come in and everything like that. But we actually put out a draft to our company in September that we're keeping it working remote for the time being. So we, you're supposed to be in there X amount of hours, but otherwise, it's okay. And we rotate again the paralegals to make sure that everything is scanned and calendared and do everything like that. So we've been able to go and shift our systems and processes. Our productivity has not declined at all. And for the time being, we're keeping our office space how it is. And I think that our employees appreciate the flexibility that comes along with it. And, we trust them to go and do what they want to do. And I'll tell you something that's really special that I didn't know. And again, sort of grateful for the culture, that we have at Luffman Heck and Associates. So the attorneys, my criminal attorneys, the four of them got together unbeknownst to me and said, look, we don't know what's going to go and happen, but if we need to go and take a pay cut to make sure that the paralegals continue to go and get paid and have their jobs, they were willing to go and do that. And I found that out a long time later, but I thought that was pretty special and telling, and made me feel really good.
That is, I love to hear things like that, because I think all too often we get caught up in like capitalism, right? Like we got to do, next quarter's got to be even better than this one. I'm raising my prices. We're making all this money. Let's figure out increase profits, decrease costs, all that stuff. But at the end of the day, we're a bunch of people working together to help other people. And I love all the stories about like real leadership. That's what that is to me, right? Real leadership is looking out for the people that are, they're technically under you, but they're not beneath you, but
right.
People are people.
Absolutely.
I'm no better or no worse than any other one person. So I love hearing stuff like that. And that was one of the things that I think came out of everything that happened that was really awesome. I was around physically in our office, obviously, because I help run a lot of the day to day, and all of everybody else got sent home, work from home. And I remember coming in, and we're about to launch this campaign that we sold it as like, you get a free month of service if you want to use us, because we wanted people to come in and not think that they were going to get anything for free.
Sure.
But basically, like, any customer that called in that was already a customer and said like, hey, I'm not getting any calls, I don't really need this right now, and I need to turn off my expenses because nothing's happening. I'd like to cancel the service. I'm sorry, it's nothing you did. I'm not going to pay for something that I have absolutely no need for. Don't worry about it. It's free. If you called and said anything like, hey, I'm falling on, cool, it's free. Well,
sure.
We'll talk about it later.
Right.
And so I'm with the owner. We're talking about this new campaign we're going to launch. And he's like, well, don't say that. Don't put that out on the internet, because then everybody's going to call in and try to get it for free, even if they're using it. So it was really on like the honor system. But to me, it was awesome because my goal, right? All I do is I help facilitate conversations between people who really need a lawyer and people like you who are able to help those people. And I think you get caught up in like, when can I get the newer car, bigger house, nicer watch, nicer clothes. But to really be able to provide for other people's families and stay reliable, I think that's a real testament to what you did, what our company was able to accomplish as well. And I'm not putting it on you. I'm saying your organization. I know you don't want the credit. You're a humble, nice guy, and I respect that too. But I'll get back on topic here after I wipe away my tears. So For any of our attorney listeners who may still be resistant to go in on adopting legal technology solutions for their firms, what would you say to them?
That they're making a huge mistake. And ultimately, I mean, again, whatever your goals are, right? If it's to try to be more efficient, if you want more time, going and adopting these things will help you have more time. If you want to go and have better communication with your clients and provide a better service, it'll help you provide a better service. And if it's about your bottom line, because you're able to go and have more time and provide a better service, presumably it would go and help your reputation as well. And you would be able to go and service more clients, have a better reputation, and it would positively impact your bottom line. And, again, it's interesting, and I didn't say this when we were talking earlier, but if you go back to the beginning and you had, the yellow pages, there were older attorneys that poo-pooed even being in that, and they got left behind. And then you had the adoption of the internet, and the people who went and adopted to that, understood it, and were able to go and harness it, have done tremendous. And the people that haven't have been left behind. And I like to say this, and particularly now, you could be the greatest attorney in the world, but if nobody knows who you are, it doesn't matter. You can be the greatest attorney in the world, and if you're not communicating with your clients in the manner that this day and age dictates, you're not going to be as successful as you want to be. And so all of those things are so tied in to legal technology. Again, I would not be in the position that I am at this point in time, no question about it, had we not gone and adopted it. And again, we're always on the lookout for what's next, what's better. Again, trying to fix the issues that we have as a firm. Even though we do this at a really, really high level, you can always improve. And I mean this. I mean, again, that the legal technology and the things that we've adopted at Luffman Heck and Associates have been absolutely integral in our success. Bottom line.
Ben, I want to thank you so much for joining me on the show today. So, ladies and gentlemen, Ben Luftman of Luffman Heck and Associates. And thank you to all our listeners. We hope you enjoyed this conversation, and we will be back with another episode of Everything Except the Law soon. Be sure to check out previous episodes of our show on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Anchor, the Answering Legal YouTube channel. See you next time, everyone.